Hello everybody, welcome to the Geek Cupboard. I am Penge and welcome back to Astroneer. And Orange Spacesuit Man, give us a wave, there he is. So, I noticed earlier that there was a Steam update pending and it was an Astroneer update. And version 153 has been released. So I thought, given that I had just a few minutes, I thought I'd make a very brief, not in depth, not super detailed, not going into all the new mechanics in fantastic depth. Just a very brief overview of what is different. So, the first thing that becomes immediately obvious when you start is that all your research has been wiped out. So this is a saved game that I had, obviously because I've built all these things. So I've got all this stuff here. However, all your stuff that you could previously build is now gone. So, when you start now with the beacon, tethers, solar panels, and wind vanes. So you have to go away now and grab all of the things again, so all of the research pods, which weirdly enough I think in the release notes, I think they're called chests possibly, I don't know, but whatever, the little weird organic blob things and the stone things that you put into the research machine and chop the heads off of, those, you'll need to go through all those again to get all your research back, because I literally those four things. My 3D printer could print very basic stuff and that was it didn't really do much else. So yeah, they've reduced the research down, and apparently in the notes it does say that the research chests are less common now, so you're not going to be able to find them quite as easily, which I suppose is good because it makes it more exploratory. You've got to get in your vehicles and go looking for stuff. And the idea, I believe, again in the notes, is that it's steeper difficulty. It's a harder thing to play, so when you start you're forced to go out, rather than it giving you pretty much all the tools that you need, you're forced to go out there and actually go and find stuff, which I can sort of agree with because the game is about exploration, so that's good. Another nice touch is that the backpack now opens kind of smaller, so it's still manageable but it's smaller, and it opens to the side look, so it kind of comes off his back, which it might have done before but I never really noticed because it was so big and in the middle of the screen that it kind of got in the way of the Astroneer guy. But yeah, now look, it goes off to the side and it's very nice, and the camera is a lot more manageable now that's out. It used to be very difficult to sort of manage where you're putting stuff because the backpack was so huge in the middle, whereas now look, it's quite nice. It's still got the lovely slick sort of clicky interface. That's all very exciting. So yeah, that's a nice little thing. They've added a lot of little tweaks like that. Let's go and find one of the research pod things. Hang on. So another nice little thing they've done, get one of these gigantic space watermelons. Hang on, let me grab one of those. I don't think I've had one of these yet before. Spiky, weird, green thing. I want that. So yes, look, there's now a bit more of a defined line as to what you're holding, whereas before it sort of floated around in front of you, didn't it? You weren't really sure. It sort of hovered about. This has actually got a very nice, it's sort of faded near the Astroneer, and then it gets sort of not faded, clearer, as you move toward the object itself. That's quite a nice touch. So let's, while we're here, I'm completely lost, let's go and put that on our base and just see if that does unlock anything interesting. Now, while I've been doing this, I've been playing this for probably 45 minutes since I started looking at this, and I've grabbed all these, I'm going to call them trees. All these trees had research block things on them. However, they have now all been depleted because they're near my base, and I went and grabbed them all. So that was good. A lot of these have come out. A lot of filters. Look, all those. And I did have some power cells as well, but I used them to recharge the base when it was night time. A bit like now, in fact. I used it, I basically stuck them on there and it recharged the base up, the research module, so I could do more research when the batteries and stuff had ran out. A lot of those are coming out of there, which is, I mean, it's not a bad thing. They're quite useful, but you'd expect more sort of natural, sort of actual useful resources, but there you go. Apparently, in the notes as well, it says that there is a complete overhaul of equipment unlock progression. So it says specific equipment unlocks are now dependent on researching certain types of chests while retaining some randomization. I don't know what that is yet. I've not had enough time to look into it. There's a sort of system, I suppose, of what you need to unlock. And the different objects, the different chests, as they call them, sort of alien blob, research blobs, that you need in order to unlock certain equipment. Now, I don't know what that is. I imagine people who've got far, far more time on their hands will dig into that and start, you know, researching it and finding out what they need, and maybe it's a different colour or a different type, or, you know, the gold spiky blob is required to unlock whatever vehicles or something like that. I don't know. Other people, I'm sure, will do that before I can. However, probably the most significant thing, and a thing that I've been playing and trying to unlock, but I've only unlocked one thing for it, is when you go into the backpack, you can now click on the terrain shaper tool and you can do stuff to it. So this is my default terrain tool. However, you can unlock things for it. So you can now attach things to it. So I think they call it the tool augment system. So there is the terrain analyzer, the wide mod, the narrow mod, and the inhibitor. Now I have only got so far unlocked the narrow mod, but fortunately I have some copper to actually craft the narrow mod. So let's craft the narrow mod and see what happens. Right, it's a round blob thing, it's an augment. I assume it clips onto the end, does it? It just sticks on the... Oh no, I want it to go on the... Oh, it sticks on the side. Oh, that's quite nice. Right, so now what does that do then? Oh, it's really... Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? Yes, you'll also notice that when you put the cursor over the certain colour of ground, look, it changes colour. So it's green, and now there's a little arrow that says it's brown. And I imagine if I went over to the blue bit over here, it would change to blue. I'm going to assume, hopefully it will. Please don't prove me wrong. Oh, and I've fallen down a big hole. Yeah, that's good. That's a good start. So yeah, blue. And you'll notice here there is a load of grey. Now I believe one of the tools, which is the terrain analyzer, if you have that equipped on your terrain tool thing, when you dig, when you sort of terrainify, I don't know what the word is, when you manipulate the ground and do stuff with it like that, you can see they've changed the effects of that as well, which looks quite nice. I think you can see it all flying in. Look, it looks very cool. There we go. Should we just watch that? Look, it all sort of zooms in, it flies into the end of the thing. It looks kind of like paint almost. That's like paint sort of flying into the end. That's very cool. I believe the terrain analyzer, you can pick it up, you kind of pick up enough green, and then you can then apply green to the surface. So when you create terrain, like so, you create it with the right colour. However, because I don't have... that's the levelling tool, which is that one. So because I don't have the, whatever it is, the terrain analyzer, any terrain that I build is just going to be grey and drab and dreary, look. So it just comes up as grey. So you can still do it. It's not limited you to... You can't do it. It's not like saying, right, you need to have hoovered up so much earth before you can put the earth, the ground back down. It's just saying, oh, yeah, it's going to look grey and boring though. And then, yeah, when you filter it away, it all just flies back in. So it's kind of like normal, but that needs the terrain analyzer tool. But yeah, look, so I've got a little tiny thin terrain shaping tool now. It's very small, so you could dig more refined holes, which is quite cool. Can you fit down those holes? Or only just? So the Astroneer... Oh, yes. The Astroneer just fits through. So you just fit through the holes, whereas the regular size terrain tool I think is a bit bigger and you can walk down it properly. So the other ones, the terrain analyzer does the grabbing of the ground and then you can build up the ground with different colours. The wide mod, I assume, makes it a very big area of effect, so you can dig massive holes. The narrow mod, which we can see here, digs smaller tunnels. And there is an inhibitor which says shuts down functionality applied to the terrain tool, turns off adding and subtracting terrain, but maintains colour changes and harvesting. Now, I don't know what that means. Why would you want to shut the terrain tool off? Unless you just wanted to get the colour from the ground rather than dig. So you might want to say, I still want the colour from the ground, so I'll have an inhibitor plus a terrain analyzer. So I'll inhibit the tunnelling through the ground, but I still want the colour green. So then you can just sort of do that rather than having to then dig holes and dig it away. It'll keep the ground in place, because like it sort of chips it away. Look, well, that's a rock, that doesn't help. So yeah, I assume that's what the inhibitor does. So yeah, I think that's probably the big, new, exciting thing there. You can see it on the side. Look, can you move it around? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's quite cool. Let's put it back on though. I still want it on. No, put it back on the gun thing. There, on the side, yes. So I like that, and I think that's a very good idea, because I imagine in the future they will add more terrain tool augments. There'll be various different things they could stick on it, like certain handheld drills or something, or little mini weapons even, I don't know. Will they go down that route at some point, so you can fight the weird monster things that try and kill you, rather than just sort of tunnel at them with the terrain tool? You might be able to sort of shoot something at them. I don't know. As well as those, I've added a few other little bits and bobs. So apparently now, let me just grab one of those. You cannot use hydrazine at this anymore. So you can't use hydrazine at the trade platform. So let's just have a look. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Yeah, it doesn't produce anything anymore. Hydrazine is just not a thing that you can use. So yeah, hydrazine is no longer tradable at the trade module. I can sort of get it because you could find quite a lot of hydrazine, and if you stayed on the same planet, if you're deciding not to take off and just build like a super base across the whole of the planet, you could just dig all the hydrazine up and just send it off into space and just go, there you go, give me loads of stuff. So yeah, I'm with them on that. That's fine. I've not got an issue with that. Just looking through the notes, I've only just noticed this. Apparently, when you're interacting with something like this, or whether it's resource, whether it's a research blob, the colour of the thing, so the colour of presumably the circle around it and then the line leading to it, is your default colour. So if you're playing a multiplayer game, you can see who's holding on to what, and all the Astroneer sort of whatever it is, these lines, the interactivity lines, are visible for everyone else. So that's quite cool. So you can see what everyone's doing. So if someone's saying, "Oh, I'm not stealing all the copper," you can see that they're half-inching the copper from there and putting it onto their truck and driving away with it or whatever. So that's quite a nice touch. I like that. And unfortunately, something I won't be able to show you is allegedly the dynamite power becomes stronger when you pack dynamite together. Now, unfortunately, I only have one block of dynamite and I can't craft any more. I would be able to previously, but now I can't because it's not in my research thing anymore. I've not unlocked dynamite as a thing to craft yet, so I won't be able to show you that, I'm afraid. But yes, apparently it says the power and radius increases when multiple dynamite sticks are packed together, which is kind of what you'd expect, really, isn't it? If you have 5 lots of dynamite, you'd expect it to explode 5 times as much. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. That's a logical thing for me. So there's a storm rolling in. They haven't changed, I don't think. So my Astroneer's hiding in his little habitat. The other change they've made seem to be just bug fixes. So the load game crashes and foliage floating in the air, tethers not placeable while sprinting, that sort of stuff. Little things that probably are causing issues, but you might not come across too often. I did notice that they have changed something to do with the vehicles. What it does say, updated vehicle code to increase stability. While I was driving the truck round to get the research blob things, I did notice that it seemed a lot more stable. The vehicle seemed a lot easier to drive. It seemed a lot more pinned to the ground, whereas before, particularly on this planet, it seemed very, very... My Astroneer is getting all those blocks full on in the face. Every single one is smacking into where he is. Poor guy. Yeah, look, they're all just ploughing into where he is. That's a bit mean. So yes, the vehicle did seem to be more grounded. It seemed to be far easier to drive. Okay, that is the briefest of brief looks at Astroneer version 153. It's not been out very long. I've not had much time to sort of look at it, but I just thought I had some little bit of time spare. I thought, you know what, let's make a very brief, quick video about it, just to highlight the bits that have changed. So it's not too utterly radically different. I suppose the 2 big changes are, 1, your research will have gone if you're starting a save game, so you're going to have to research everything again. If you're starting a new game, the research is going to be harder, and there seems to be some sort of unlock path for things, which I'm yet unclear on. And, of course, the gun. So your terrain shaping tool now has augments, which you can put on it, which change its actions. And that obviously is displayed here, because you can see the different stuff on the ground. So that'll be quite cool, I think. I think that's where they'll go. There'll be a lot of work on the terrain tool and all the different augments and things. I think that'll be quite a cool thing in the future. And yes, lots of little bug fixes, nice little tweaks and things, all sorts of different bits and bobs. So it's not utterly radically different, but they're changing it enough. I mean, that's quite a nice change. I'm going to try and play it some more just to see if I can find any of the other augment things. But again, I don't know if they're part of some sort of upgrade path or research path or whatever. I don't know. I might just have to just drive around in the truck, grab as many of those research blobs as I can, bring them back and just hope for the best. So yeah, we'll give that a go, and if I do, I will probably make another quick video later just sort of demoing all the different augment options that we can put on your terrain tool. But for now, thank you very much for joining me in the Geek Cupboard, and I will see you next time. We need loads of it. More resin. More. Oh, scanning. Blip, 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 scanning. Where's the way out? Oh no, I'm going to run out of oxygen and die. They sound like proper killy death rocks, they do. It's a watermelon. What the bloody hell's that supposed to be? So when you fall down a big hole, you tend to die.